music. No. Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. Of course, I'm your host, DBJ, and we are here gathered with many of our co-hosts here who are able to partake in this show live, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But today we are going to talk about, using my old intro, an older movie called Ladyhawke, and kind of uncover why Ladyhawke and continuing to play role-playing games in a situation we've been dealing with for well over 40 plus years. Why haven't we solved the situation when it comes to missing players? And so we're going to use the movie for our tabletop role-playing games. And I don't mean just the plot of it, but the meta knowledge that this movie gives us, and go, wait a minute, this makes so much more sense to use something like this for our tabletop role-playing experience. Now, Ladyhawke, while we tend to fall into science fiction here, Ladyhawke is definitely a fantasy medieval movie of Rutger Hauer and a very young Michelle Pfeiffer and many other individuals. But yeah, and as already a slow clap dissertation of this movie, Dead Man says, though Ladyhawke is more like a schizophrenic player that can't choose a character, the missing player syndrome. Yeah, it depends. Well, if it's just if it's one player that's like, I want to play the rogue, but I also want to play the druid, but I also want to play the wizard, or it could just be two players that both can't be there at the same time and they kind of switch off, but it's kind of fun. And the concept of the movie is pretty basic. And doing a little bit of research, which is not really very much, someone even said it says the greatest movie you've never seen. I don't know if I put it in that category, but it's a fun movie. So what is the basis, the synopsis of this movie? Well, Ladyhawke is a movie from 1985, so a little bit old, and the synopsis goes like this. Upon breaking out of a dungeon, youthful thief Phillipe Gaston, played by Matthew Broderick, befriends Captain Navarre, Rutger Hauer, a man with a strange secret. Navarre and his lover, Lady Isabeau, Isabeau d'Aju, I don't remember how to pronounce that, Michelle Pfeiffer, were cursed by the wicked Bishop Aquila, played by John Wood, who desires the lady for himself. His dark magic prevents the pair from ever being in each other's presence except at twilight, so usually dusk and dawn. So they enlist Gaston in a dangerous plot to overthrow the bishop and break his evil enchantment. Essentially, a prison. What has this got? 67% on Rotten Tomatoes. Because even in today's standards, the action and the magic and things like that, not too original. But the important part of the movie is the curse itself. Like Shitlord says, schizophrenic, just a druid. Yeah, it could be anything you want, whenever you want it. Oh, I forgot that my border is something where you can't see anything. So the concept in Ladyhawke, when our I guess comedy relief character escapes from an inescapable prison, and of course his escape is the key to getting back into the location to go slay our evil bishop, is that our hero and heroine cannot see each other. So during the day, what the hell? That was weird. Our noble knight character is followed by and has befriended a very intelligent hawk. And at night, there's a princess in white robes who's followed by a wolf. And you find out that during the day, our gentleman, our warrior, the hawk, is his lady love that he only gets to barely see during dusk and dawn when they both transform. And then at night, he transforms into a wolf that follows her during the night as she walks around. Now, yes, they play it up a little bit that she's kind of fae-like, almost dryad kind of ish, but then you get surprisingly they gave her a rather short haircut, which is different for the 80s. But this was a thing that was very common in those medieval movies in the 80s, and pretty cool. So Shai says, never seen. All of us 9-year-old D&D nerds never seen it. Right? Yeah. An early Michelle Pfeiffer had a, when you're a kid, you always have like your top 5 girl crushes. She was up there. She had a really cool upper lip. It's kind of squarish. I can't explain it, but anyway. So Shai says, anyway, it raises one D&D mechanics question. When the curse falls and they turn into animals, do you remove them from play and put them under DM control, or make them play out being an animal? And that's it. Well, first of all, I would say that and this is just a generalization of handling PCs, NPCs, things like that. The real issue is, as a dungeon master or game master or something, do you really want to handle all that? Right? Like, your players are there to do your workload. Sorry, I mean, let me take that back. I love to get my players involved in the action, and one of the things is offloading the mental baggage, right? That mental load onto your players. And if it's not really going to change the dynamics of the game, just let the players handle that kind of stuff. And the reason why I bring up, Aquila translates to eagle in Latin. Bishop is the Bishop of Aquila. I don't know how it's pronounced in the movie, and I'm not sure what language it is. So my pronunciation is probably improper for the incorrect language that I'm using. But yeah, you get the idea that there's a little bit of a like Phillipe Gaston and Navarre and Isabel de Ajou. Ajuo? I don't know. It might be Portuguese, Spanish, maybe some French in there or something like that. Of course, there's some Latin things, and that's a very 80s medieval, like non-specific medieval location with Americanized accents and things. So yeah, falls into that category. But for tabletop role-playing purposes, what I love about Ladyhawke solves, or at least it gives us an opening to solve a situation, and that is when a player cannot be at a game, but they are value added and you want them into the game, where do you put them? What happens to them? And over 40 plus years of role-playing games, we still scratch our heads like, well, what do I do? And I don't understand, and how are we going to handle this and stuff? And we could be very, very, very like straightforward with it. And the most important thing is handling the player. After that, we can add a narrative layer over top of this. And the member of the Shy Squad makes a point, like, it does raise the point of, what do we do? Do we put that into the player's hands, or does the game master control it, or DM control it, and that kind of thing? And we could discuss that, or at least we should have mechanisms in place to make that decision for us when we start it. Like, as for me as a game master or dungeon master, I don't like handling more than I don't like biting off more than I can chew. I like to put NPCs as quickly as possible into the player's hands and let them handle it. Shitlord says, gotta be Spanish. Nobody will ever expect why. Yeah. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. Yeah. And so my point is that we shouldn't limit ourselves. It's a game, and it's fantasy, and it is science fiction, and we are creative people. We shouldn't stop being creative because one or more players don't arrive at our table, and then our game falls apart. So using the Aju is a pear-like plant. I did not know that. Is that a reference to her body shape? Because I yeah, I guess if you do a search for, I guess if you do searches for most people's names, I wonder if it comes up with like really strange descriptions. Because I know, oh man, what was I think? I'm not going down that rabbit hole. Player versus DM control of transformed or charmed persons. There was a hilarious kerfuffle between Wuhad and Tetsubo about this back in 2011. Really? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because on one hand, I remember I think he passed away, but I do remember that how coming up, and it comes up periodically about, you know, should a player play their character if they are mind controlled or somehow cannot act in the way that they normally want to act, or should it just be DM control? And this goes of course back into the idea of players not being able to participate because of the randomization or the actions that they've chosen. So, for example, if a player is knocked unconscious or paralyzed or incapacitated or trapped or something, and they can't participate, how bad is it that they can't participate? Now, my personal opinion is you decided to play a game where that's a possibility. Suck it up and be mature about it. But we have people who are like, I'm out of the game for 2 rounds of combat or for 10 minutes of gameplay, and this sucks. How can we keep incorporating that person? But I think we are far more creative than we give ourselves credit for, and there's no reason to limit ourselves in our options. Yeah, Andrew said you play out that charm person spell, which I love to do that kind of stuff. Yeah, go around killing your party mates. Tetsubo was horrifically offended by the notion of being forced to do something you didn't want to do. And part of me says, then why play a game where that option is out there, that there are things that can control you and such. That's just my personal opinion. It's like, then don't play the game. It's like people being upset that their character dies in a game where your character could die. But we have options beyond that, right? Drew says, I prefer to leave everything in player hand. There's a reason why I designed my own system to be GM-less. There are a number of GM-less games. We should do some reviews of those. So an example of replacing or shifting or having other character options using Ladyhawke as an example is that when our main character, Rutger Hauer, our warrior, is walking around, he has a hawk. Now, there's nothing limiting us from having a player play the hawk temporarily in the game if they're stepping in and out of the game. Maybe they can't stay for very long, or the other issue people have about a gaming session is if one or two players isn't there and the game master designed the game around 5 players and you're down to that, your power level drops, then why not replace them with a pet or some kind of dare I say force multiplier that isn't another human being. And it could be a wolf or a hawk or a robot or something like that. And we'll go over my little D12 system. There's a D12 list of ways you can replace or mitigate a player not being there, and also account for the player not being there all the time. Maybe there's somebody that has a schedule. They're like, listen, I can't play every week or every other week. I can be there once a month. So can I join the game? And instead of going, well, we love to have you, but no, there are ways to do it. And like a Dances with Wolves, yes, there's a wolf in the Dances with Wolves movie, and that wolf isn't a pet of our main character, but shows up every once in a while. And maybe the player gets to play that thing that isn't a player, that isn't a traditional character sheet. Maybe they play an NPC, they play an animal or a robot or an AI system or an android or a machine or someone in Overwatch that's speaking in someone's ear. Like, why do we have to limit ourselves to these things? And I say, let's not limit ourselves. Let them play a befriended monster that happens to walk with them and travel with them and then disappears because of something else. I see you shit lords. Yeah. Yeah, Drew says power level. I don't care about such nonsense. Well, who's to say, right? And now that depends on the game system. Some game systems are very fiddly like that, especially highly numeric game systems that have a propensity for balance. Can, when you have 5 players or 3 players, what happens? Now, my personal opinion is play differently, right? Like, so there was a little meme that went around about how do you handle balancing an encounter, and it's GMs don't need to balance encounters. That's what players do, and players can balance an encounter by either interacting in the encounter or leaving. And I kind of like that a little bit. I was just like, well, that is true. Like if a player doesn't want to engage in an encounter, they have the option to not as opposed to going, wow, there's a challenge in front of me. Of course, it's designed for me specifically for my skill set. It's like, no, not necessarily. You could be overwhelmed. How about not getting involved in something that's going to overwhelm you, and or questioning whether an encounter should even happen by exploring socially and exploring the environment to say, you know what, I thought there were 3 trolls, but they're also being followed by 37, I don't know, hobgoblin warriors, and we can't fight all of that. So how about we just not engage? And being but most game systems today tend not to fall into the please don't engage category, but whatever. Drew says, yeah, Shai says, Drew, as a kid, I would have figured the DM controls a charmed person. As a barbarian chieftain disciple, I know that it posed an interesting role-playing challenge that could be awesome. But here's the whether we do have a situation about the permission to make somebody do something they don't want to do. But that's a different, I think we can talk about that in like the charm person possession type of arena rather than the missing player arena. But in Ladyhawke, if there are 2 players and one was playing a warrior and another one's playing a Druidic princess, and neither player can be there, and they are replaced with an appropriately gifted thing like a pet or something, I really don't have a problem with that. I remember playing in a game that I couldn't be a part of, and I played the very intelligent. It was a ancient China medieval world, and I played like a Chiron foo creature, golden lion thing that was the mount of another character that was playing a child. I think we were playing Feng Shui, and so my character was a mount, and I was like a pet, and I was like, yeah, I'll play that, sure, why not? I won't be an actual character. I'll be this thing. So let me go through my D12 list and see what you guys think about replacing a character. So the first one is, trust the DM, for he will provide you with a cool story. That is another teaching of the barbarian chieftain. Yeah. Well, a lot of this is trust. I don't understand people that play role-playing games with people they don't trust. Or the other coin flip is people who take out their own psychological issues on innocent individuals who are just there to have fun. That's another thing about role-playing games, that some people use it to as a band-aid to cover up their own psychological issues. And it's like, please don't work through your psychological issues with my time. It's fun to have you there, but if you have strange obsessions and like dark sadistic or psychopathic tendencies, keep that to yourself. Drew says, for me, that replacement approach does not work for missing players, since I run rather personal stories, not some plot with interchangeable characters. Well, who's to say? My feeling is that that presumes that you haven't already, that there isn't a storyline that requires them to be there. We see many television shows that have integral characters that don't show up, and they're the story doesn't revolve around that specific person, right? For that particular period of time. The assumption is all players must be there at all times. And we don't, first of all, we have real life, and we've always had real life break apart gaming groups. So to accept real life is to accept the fact that people will just not be there. We have um, work problems, things happen, car accidents, illnesses, obligations, and like I said, if someone is value added and they can only be there 1/4 of the time, then why wouldn't we design games for that person to only be there 1/4 of the time? Every story doesn't have to revolve around everyone all the time, and usually it doesn't. If we're honest with ourselves, the story of the space explorer plus the high level corporate plus the mercenary plus the orphan, and so most of the time that story might revolve around one or two of those players, and the other guys are just hangers on who are also having fun, but it doesn't really mean that. Yeah, Drew says exactly. I have no storyline. I have character driven narratives. Without the players to drive their characters, there is no game. Well, if there's zero characters, of course. But if there are some players, why wouldn't we drive that plot with the people who are present? And that's not to say that the missing characters, and we haven't even gotten into my list yet, doesn't mean the missing characters don't have an impact. It could be that them being missing is a thing that is driving the plot itself. Why are they gone? Um, their absence could psychologically affect the players themselves. Boy, we miss them not being here. It's very imperative that they be here. So let's ensure that we drive the plot for, the MacGuffin, the plot forward while they're not here, because that's what they would do if they could be here, right? I mean, there are many stories that are told where the character, what's the show? Shogun is like that, you know. Deadman says there's a game called Possessions. It's a Steam game where you play as a ghost with a sub goal and have to achieve your sub goal by taking over a burglar while working against the other players. And there was another game like that where you played, I can't remember the name of it. Oh, where a video game where you play a character who has a spirit inside of them, and during periods of the game, you to navigate the game, you have to play the physical character and the ghost-like character, and they combine together and can separate and things. I can't remember the name of it. But it's not well, it could be on Steam now, but it's much older. Um, and Drew says again, no plot to be driven at my table. No plots. Give me the keys. Well, although to be honest with you, players drive plots forward whether we like it or not, right? I mean, once they make a decision, we're just like, oh shit. Now we may not like the decision that they're going. They're like, we want to be murder hobos. That's a decision, right? But so one idea to handle missing players is again the Ladyhawke, that they're not there, they can't be there, but we're replacing them with something else that represents them, an animal, a pet, or something like that. A second way, I'm calling it outposting or the crew, and this is absolutely positively done with Star Trek, and that is whatever game session, the reason they're not there is because they're back at the outpost. They're a member of the crew. They are in the thing that's traveling with the party, but they're not there. They are with the nomadic group. They are with the wagons. They are on the sailing ship. They are back at camp. They're not there because they are protecting the innocent people that they are traveling along on the caravan. They are on another mission to explore a moon. They are handling the repairs on the starship or something like that. They're back at the outpost. They'll be back later, and there's a reason why. Another one is used in a game known as Ars Magica, and excellent game. And this is built into the game. Let me see if I can find Ars RPG. Um, in this game, and I'm surprised that people haven't stolen this from this role playing game. And I played this very early. I don't remember when the original game came out, and there's a couple of versions of this where everyone makes up, and Ars Magica. That's not very big enough. Ars Magica is a game where you play wizards, and initially you make up 3 categories of characters. So everyone makes up a master wizard, and there's 3 levels of a triangle of conflict. There's magic, there's faith, and there is religion. And it takes place in a fictional medieval Europe where both magic and religion and magic, faith, and religion. I can't remember the third one. But anyway, you have conflict with these other forces. And the first category is a master wizard. And you have a wizard tower. There's whole rules for making up a covenant of wizards that hang out together for a unified purpose. The second category of characters you make up are known as consorts or custos. They are secondary, like bodyguard style ish characters for the wizards who don't have magic, but they could be magically endowed. And these are like special warriors or psychic characters or fey creatures or something like that that are unique to the world, but they aren't wizards. They are a step below. And then lastly, your third category of characters you make is you make a stable of characters known as grogs. And grogs are like your average citizen. Grogs are stable hands and yeomen and guides and cooks, and they're basically like single syllable individuals with very little backstory that fill out the group. And it's called troop style. And you play a troop of characters like you would in a Shakespearean play. And what happens is maybe the story focuses on one wizard and the other characters pick up a random character amongst the consorts, the custos, and the grogs. And the entouraging of play could be a thing for characters that can't be there all the time. Drew's outposting works better for me. Exactly. Right. Like, I'm not saying that what I'm proposing is that we've been playing role-playing games for 40 plus years, and actually probably before we've been telling stories since the beginning of time. And when someone can't be there, why does that make our games fall apart? And I think there's a way for us to get around that. And I love the Ladyhawke idea that we're very creative, imaginative people. Why can't we be creative and imaginative in our tabletop community to figure out when a player is not there, why our story can continue? And the group style they have in Ars Magica, it is a think of it like a Shakespearean play where you have main characters and then you have a bunch of side characters. And what happened by the group making up all the characters, there's a familiarity with all of them. So let's say there's 3 players. So the 3 players make up their primary wizard. No one else plays that wizard but that player. But everyone else gets to share in the use of the other members of the entourage. And so like Star Trek, where we talk about the red shirts, well, maybe there's some more important characters. They're not necessarily a red shirt, but maybe they are part of the medical group that's not really part of every game, but when they show up, they do have slightly better skills. They aren't maybe as great or as important or as primary as a main character, but maybe a player gets to play 2 of those. What I used to do back in the day with my friends in our playing group, we would say, all right, guys, we are going to play, I'm using Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to play 8th level characters. You can make up any number of characters from 1 to 8 that are any level in between that ranking, and you get to pick and choose which ones you want to play and how you want to play them. So somebody might say, great, I'm going to make a 5th level character, and they're she is 5th level and her younger brother is 3rd level, and I want to play both of them. Great, okay. And then somebody else might, that comes in the group, hey, can I play that character? Yeah, of course you can. So this brings me up to something else, which is friends along the way. So one way, especially a player, now mind you, this again, this is a personality thing for your group. One aspect of this could be that, you know, some players suffer from constant character creation syndrome. much like we suffer from world builder syndrome. Some people just like to keep making new characters. And Banat mentioned it the other day, like, because I said, well, death is kind of final and kind of boring, and he's like, not if you get to roll up a new character, right? And some players are just obsessed with that. They're like, oh, I want to play this sneaky roguish type character, and they get to play that for 2 hours and they're done, and they want to play a new character. Why fight against that? Let's have them be a friend along the way. Sometimes an NPC joins the group for a limited amount of time, like a guide or an alien that they meet from another world, or a dignitary, or a merchant, or a stowaway, or a temporary alliance with a group because you're moving through their territory. Or how many times in modern storytelling and science fiction has an emissary or an individual been assigned to, air quotes, join the group, but they're really there to watch over them and to see if they're going to do anything bad. Police procedurals do this all the time, right? Oh, you're FBI? Well, you're going to be assigned someone from the local police or Homeland Security to follow you in this investigation, and you better share your information with me, right? And that's a person who is temporarily with the group, joins the group, and then leaves because they specifically are designed not to be there very often. So friends along the way is a great way for a player to go, I mean, I know we're all playing like psychic characters or wizards or something, but now that we're getting into like more of like a physical confrontation, can I just play like a mercenary or something? And you're like, well, of course you guys would hire a mercenary, or you're a parallel character with someone else. Here, Drew says, speak for yourself. I do not suffer from world builder syndrome. Okay. And to give players the ability to play many different characters, I prefer to run rather short campaigns, which is another thing too. I think that's something else I think we should embrace more in the gaming community is short stints. So we talk about one shots and we talk about campaigns, like long running campaigns, and we tend not to embrace the middle, even though the middle is where most of the action happens. An example, if I could pull this out of my ass, is traveling to a distant land. And we often make the travel to the distant land the boring part because we want to get to the distant land. But a short 1 or 2 shot could be acquiring a ship and traveling there. And when you get to shore for the distant land, that's the end of one arc, right? That could just be one arc. And then exploring the distant land could be a second arc. And then finding a vast spire temple that reaches up in the clouds could be the third arc. And then, you know what I mean? Like, instead of breaking things down into arcs, we tend to go like, well, the only way this works is if it's 37 is a 37 session long thing that goes from 0 to 20th level. And like, well, maybe we could divide that up and break it up into little smaller pieces. Maybe, I don't know. Also, another way of doing this is and I'm going to combine some of this together. There's the obligation, and the obligation, the duty, a character who's traveling along who just happens to have another obligation outside the player characters. Many of our obligation, duty, outside order characters tend to be a little bit more noble and follow the rules. And why not have a character who's traveling along and goes, listen, I got to leave. Like a human being, like in real life, an IRL person who says, I've got a family obligation. I can't be in the game, but I'll join next week. Maybe that character is like, listen, I want to travel with you, but I have an outside obligation. And that obligation doesn't even need to be from a mentor or a government or something like that. Maybe that character's on a pilgrimage. And the reason they're not there is because they're meditating. Guess what? You're traveling forward. I'll catch up later. I need to go meditate. Or a psychic spirit has visited me in my sleep, and I am now in a semi-catatonic state that our people always go into periodically because of the alignment of the planet. So you already know to leave me alone. You go on. I'm just going to stay here, right? Maybe along the way they go into a major city and all the PCs go to one direction except for one who must remain to pay off an obligation or atone for their sins or run from the authorities. Hey, listen, I'm not entering the city state because I'm a wanted individual, but you guys go in. Maybe I'll sneak in over the wall later. I'll meet you later on. I have a lost love, and I want to meet this lost love of mine. I'm going to meet that person or people, I guess, depending on what kind of relationships you have. I'm going to meet that person, and I will join you later because I haven't seen this person in a long time. Oh, you're going to see family, friends? Okay, obligation. Another one is a mysterious disappearance / Deus Ex Machina. So a mysterious disappearance could be the player just disappears mysteriously. Everyone turns around. Where'd they go? Now, the mysterious disappearance may not be as mysterious as we think it is. One could be the classic Batman, right? The Batman's talking to Commissioner Gordon. Commissioner Gordon turns back and Batman's gone. And maybe there is a player who, like, they show up, they handle shit, and then they disappear, and no one knows. They're just like, oh, okay. They're a Ronin. They're Mistress Mysteriosa, who just happens to arrive and disappear periodically and arrives back again. And no one knows why they're loyal to us because they are so mysterious, but they join us and whatever, which brings up the Deus Ex Machina, right? Where we hate when that happens, especially when the game master or dungeon master makes the hand of God reach in to save the player characters from certain death. I'm not saying that, but maybe a player shows up in the nick of time to help the party out. So there's someone who can only be there once a month. That person is Han Solo in the Millennium Falcon, who shows up just when we need them, and they show up and they're like, hey, what did I miss? And the other players are shaking their head like, really? You're not even traveling along. You just want to show up and get the goods and whatnot. So that's a possibility. And we can make this as mundane and as fantastical as possible. Drew says the characters are plane walkers, and thus sometimes they vanish when they get sucked into another plane of existence. Exactly. And in the role-playing game Invisible Sun, the real world is a dream, and our world, our mundane world, is known as the gray. Maybe there's something in your game where they are drawn into the real world and they disappear periodically, and everyone knows, oh no, they got sucked away. Dungeons and Dragons. I'm playing a tiefling. Great. One of your ancient uncles comes and snatches you back down into the abyss temporarily to chastise you about what you're doing on the prime material plane, right? That's a very Dungeons and Dragons. What's the other character class? The Warlock. Your patron calls you. Now, they may tap you on the shoulder or send you a letter, or their ass might snatch you up in a big giant fist and suck you down into a flaming pit of hell and torture, right? And then throw your ass back into the gaming group or something like that. We are brilliant. We are creative. We can come up with creative reasons why someone disappears mysteriously and comes back. Now, that mysterious disappearance could be something a little bit deeper and darker. Maybe they are kidnapped or poisoned, or they succumb to their vices, gambling, addictions, crime, and are arrested or jailed or whatever. And later we find out that something else happened to them. For example, the characters go into a major, they go into a habitat floating around a planet. They're there. Someone gets, that player at the end of the game gets distracted by a casino. The players leave the habitat. The players left behind. They leave the habitat, and somehow they find this player, I don't know, naked, standing behind a dumpster on a another planet, you know, in like a dark thieving city or something. And they're like, dude, how'd you get here? It's like, listen, it's a long story. Just can you find my clothes? It's in a trash bag around here. And boop, boop, boop. And then they just join the party. And you're like, what the hell just happened to? And listen, it can be ridiculous, but we should always be defaulting to players, the human beings at our gaming group, and then fill the narrative in. Maybe there's a flashback and we tell the story. Or maybe we just never answer the question why they went to a casino one place and arrived somewhere else where the players are there and they are come from behind a dumpster or something. If the characters are yeah, naked from shapeshifting, never forget this will happen. Yeah. Which is why Dungeons and Dragons was like, all of your equipment shape changes with you. And I'm like, that's a cop out. You turning naked after shape changing, I think should be the default. Which I understand there's complications in it, but so what? Deal with the complications. Yeah. Nakedness. Here's some other ones. Maybe a character is literally put on ice. And this mixes with like the robot, the xenomorph, the android, even the pet. Maybe that character they are only activated for temporary periods of time and then have to go back on ice. So an example could be an avatar of an ancient being that arrives on this world in a physical form. And or maybe they are a ghost-like being that takes physical form periodically. Like I'm an ancient grandparent of a character who takes physical form, and once I take physical form, I'm a player character just like everybody else. But I can only do this temporarily once a month because my schedule really sucks because of my new job. And then what do? I turn into a mystical spirit that fades into away, and then periodically fades back into, becomes corporeal into the game to take place in the game and things like that. Now, does that sound a little bit like OP or something? Not really. We're brilliant people. So why not? Like in Obsidian Star, we have Holo Sapiens. Hashtag trademark, copyright, Holo Sapiens. And those are characters who are basically holographic individuals that can take place with other characters. And it's a good reason to have a character disappear. High technology could allow that to happen. Maybe there's a character that's a robot that's like, well, they are very they have to, I don't know, go back into their stasis chamber or to be repowered. Or maybe the characters are protecting human beings that are in stasis chambers, and they wake up, and that player wakes up and does a thing, and it's like, well, I do have a terminal illness, and we're traveling the spaceways to find a cure for it, so I got to go back into my stasis chamber after this, but just keep me updated when I wake back up again or something. Drew says the last D&D 5e character I played was a warlock, and since I struggle with depression and migraines, oh, sorry about that, I had told that when I cannot make it to the game, she gets overwhelmed by the eldritch entity. Exactly. And if that's, first of all, you don't even have to explain why, right? Like, it's none of my business. But if you'd like to share that with others, right? I'm cool with that. And if you say, listen, there's times where I really can't make it, I'm like, that's all you got to say. Let's make a reason why your character isn't there. And strangely enough, by your description, in a way, it kind of parallels real life. Like, listen, I've got this demon on my back, both both in world and real life, and it's like, yeah, once I get to fight it off, I get to join back in the game, and it's like, yeah, kind of parallels. So I don't understand what that's like, but my imagination makes me puts a fictional thing in my head to imagine what that would be like. And yeah, maybe somebody just can't be there, or something that I feel is undeserved in role playing is that some people are like, session 0 sucks or X cards suck, you guys just aren't mature. But sometimes things happen in our lives that we don't have control over. The death of a pet or a family member that is deathly ill, a child that gets sick or something, and we're like, listen, I just can't handle this right now. I really want to play with you guys, but I'm stressed out and I'm really distracted. So I'm really sorry. I don't want to distract you guys. So I'll be back, this later. And like, oh, great, you have a family obligation. Guess what? Your character does too. We'll see you later. And then we account for them being missing by saying that they do have another obligation. So thanks for sharing that, Drew. I really appreciate it. Shitlord says the characters must be extra unattractive when nude so as to elicit maximally hilarious reactions from all in observance. Well, yes, because if they are minimally attractive, shape changing back into your normal state and being bucket naked would have everyone like staring like, why aren't you throwing me some clothes? And everyone's like, I don't know why. I've got to find the proper things that will fit you while they're busy staring at you. It's going to take me 45 minutes to find something. You can't just give me your cloak? Nope. Wouldn't be right. That's pretty bad. So another reason for this is strange to say. Another way to account for a player missing is to basically have a pocket ally. Maybe in some way, shape, or form, one or more of the player characters has the ability to pull an ally out of their pocket. Now, we can joke around and say, do we have pocket gnomes and pocket halflings we just happen to have in a backpack we pull out when we need them? Sure, we can be funny with that. Or maybe there is an object carried by the party that represents the player character when needed. So the easiest way to describe this is something that has happened already in mythology, and that is the genie in the bottle. So our character, our rogue, Aladdin, walks around, and when he needs the genie, rubs the bottle, and the genie comes out as another player character. And this could be a sword, a ring, an AI hologram, a pocket ally, an ally that you can pull. A Quantum Leap has this as a character. Now, the character, mind you, because some people I already imagine are like, well, wait a minute. Wouldn't the genie have a higher power level than the rogue in that situation? Now, one could be yes, but the other one could just be, nah, not really. You're just a player character. We're just describing you differently. So an example would be a character has a signet ring that they twist on their finger that summons a loyal guardian of the royal family. And your character just happens to be a member of the royal family, and the player character represents a noble knight that protects them. It could be a hacker that found a strange AI that's became sentient out into the interwebs and befriended this AI, and periodically, uses their black box cell phone or something to call up and the AI is like, I will be right there or something, and then becomes this solid hologram or something, some crap like that. And then the character walks around, and then that player's like, oh, I gotta leave. Okay, well, go back in my phone. I'm gonna stick you in my back pocket. I'll see you when you're able to join the game next time. And we narratively explain what happens. And I think there's a way to do that, like have a pocket ally. Again, it could just be an unnamed NPC that the players can draw. And that player, I've joined many games where I'm like, I can't join all the time, but I'll play a Minotaur, I'll play a robot, I'll play a mount that has some ability, intelligence or something, I'll play a random skeleton. Another way to account for that is the player playing on the side of the game master. And oh, I'll play some bad guys and give them some personality because I can't be in the game all the time because I'm missing because it would be unfair for me to play a character that keeps popping in and out. But I'll play some bad guys. I'll play a horde. I'll play um, a weirdly growing xenomorphic entity that's trying to overtake the space hab, so that the game master doesn't have to roll all the dice and make all the decisions. But we played that play. I remember we were playing in a game of undead. Most of the theme was undead. And when we separated, one of the players would take over a horde of zombies and or skeletons and tactically play not very tactically play the skeletons and zombies. And that way we were kind of antagonistic against each other because the players would try to optimize the skeletons and zombies in pretty interesting and hilarious ways. Like, well, if I've got 30 zombies, can I dump 5 of us zombies to accidentally walk into the pit and have the other zombies climb on the backs of the other zombies to get across the pit? And we're like, that sucks, but that actually works, right? We would do things like that against each other, and it was pretty fun. So the shitlord says the characters must be extra. Oh no. Hot PCs are a tired trope that must be counteracted. Okay, I get that. Yeah, shape change and make them puke is the order of the day. Okay, I hear you, but role playing is tends to be it is ourselves writ fantastically. So some of us like to appear a little bit more attractive than a little bit, although unwanted attention is pretty bad too. So some people aren't mature enough to handle it and make it a feature of the game, and they become problematic. And you're like, could you hold your very immature sexual indiscretions to yourself? you know. Lastly, I will say, intangible, invisible, transparent, translucent. It's the player character hanging around in the background that's not really participating in the game, but they're there anyway. Now, I understand that there are, especially in fantasy, that some people kind of don't like this, where the character basically is, dare I say, a ghost in the background, because narratively, some people say, well, if they're with our gaming party, why wouldn't they have a numeric mechanical effect on what we're doing? So an example would be the wizard player can't be there. So they need to cross a rickety rope bridge, and they have to cross a vast chasm. And the wizard has a spell, flight, floating disc, telekinesis, whatever, whatever. They have a spell that could easily help them get across, but they're not there. And it's unfair for someone to play that character. So they have trouble getting across, but the wizard's still with the party. Now, I would say that you could have a narration where the character is there, but they aren't there for some reason. They are a spirit, intangible, ghost-like, and we can come up with a narrative reason why it is that way. We can go to the warlock patron thing. We can go to the accursed power that a character uses, and it's a curse that temporarily affects them, their body and things, and turns them into this ghost-like imagery or whatever with the party. Maybe they are it is a side effect of using too much of their power, that the wizard knows that their power comes from a elemental force, and the druidic wizard-like character turns into a cloud of smoke or whatever and follows the players. They literally become air, and an indistinct cloud with a face in it and floats along with them to reassemble themselves into a physical entity later on or whatever. Now, Is it a little ridiculous to have like a holographic PC go along with the party? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, we have television shows that use that all the time, where there's like a holographic doctor or a holographic surviving member of a starship, or a holographic uh, facsimile of the AI program that controls the starship in the first place, or something like that, or an Overwatch character that's on a distant satellite signal that appears because the person holds up their wrist or the palm of their hand, and it appears they're just a hologram or something temporarily. I think we are brilliant enough to come up with reasons why someone would be floating immaterially along with the party until such time that the player arrives. Deadman says, or you could make it where shape changing makes you puke, grossing out everyone else. Well, yeah, I mean, some of our favorite shape changing, like what was the practical effects in American Werewolf in London and things like that, were pretty horrible, but very good. Painful transformations are another good one as well. Um, yeah, yeah, be mature. Yeah, now get back into hot chainmail bikinis. Yeah, we already went through that part of our lives as well, right? Like the there's still video games made with the chainmail bikinis. It's like I've got +5 chainmail bikini on and stuff. But you guys get the point. Ladyhawke, fun movie. Not too original in its like action and whatnot, but the idea that you have your prince and princess, your warrior and your druidic styled character, they can never see each other except at dusk and dawn, at twilight, where they each barely get to see each other as one transforms and the other one takes on human form. And that's a good point. Yeah, I do like that. Yeah, good point. Shape changing must be body horror. I love body horror because it freaks me out, because I hate it. I hate body parts where they don't belong, like eyes and mouths, hands put in other places where they aren't appropriately I hate it. Oh, it drives me crazy. There's some great artwork out there, and great by what I mean by it makes it makes me uncomfortable, is where you get like a photographer and they'll take pictures and then blend the pictures together, so they'll put like an eyeball in someone's mouth or something. Yeah, teeth is a bad one too. I don't like mouths and teeth where they shouldn't be, like in the palms of hands or where your eyes should be. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna do this. Oof, oof, oof. Yeah. Oh, there. There. Do I see it? No, no, no. Yeah. Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh, I hate that picture. Okay, okay. I gotta share this. I gotta share it out. Oh, ooh. Here it is. Here it comes. Something like that. Like oof, where there's teeth and eyes. Horrible, 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 horrible. Mm. There's another one. Oof, ooh. It's nasty. And that you get, because people who are really good at being able to, oh, not that. No, nothing there. No, it's this one. It's that image. Ooh. I hate it. Uh yeah. Oof, oof, oof. Please don't. Yeah, Channel Zero had the teeth monster, a person covered in teeth. I remember Channel Zero. Man, it's been a long time. Body horror is the reason I haven't watched a lot of classic movies. Realistic brain smashing with hammers too. That scene in Django Unchained made me avert my eyes. You know what? There was a lot of like, back in the old horror movies, a lot of practical effects where they would do that. Like they would make a perfect facsimile of someone's face and then like smash it with like a hammer. Ooh, Which did I change the one with the one with the one? In the one picture on the YouTube window at least. Oh, okay. Let's see if I can find it. YouTube. That was from Reddit. Let me see if I can find some others here. I didn't page all the way down. Well, these are other things. It's all about surgeries and stuff. But anyway, pretty nasty stuff. Pretty nasty stuff. Yeah, I hate it. Broken. No, I can't find anything. But anyway, you guys get the point. Because I didn't put in a proper search thing. But anyway, you get the point. So, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. And just let me know if you mind or don't mind the overlay with your guys' comments and stuff. I don't mind either way, but I like to give you guys credit because you make it you make the channel make me seem like I'm more brilliant than I am, and that brings other people here. It's weird because there are individuals who are finding the channel and tuning in, and I'm wondering, like, are they really interested in what we're talking about, or are my dulcet tones putting them to sleep? Because five out of four doctors recommend this channel for that kind of thing. The Asian lady with the teeth eyes. I was disappointed by it not freaking me out, but the image size was too tiny. Oh, yeah. I didn't go to all the way. Let's see if I can go. See if I can actually go there. And let's see. Let's see. Nope, it doesn't. I can't get any bigger. Nope, sorry. Yeah, can't do it. This is a podcast? 3 Angry Nerds. Huh. Episode 303, Toothy Eye Socket. That's odd. I'm going to have to listen to this. Oh, it's a bunch of stuff. Uncharted, Mysterio, Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, Disney Plus, Moon Knight. A bunch of stuff you're talking about. Okay. All right. Okay. So I don't mind either way. Yeah. Eddie, what did you say? Search Eddie Painter. That's the name of the Channel Zero Tooth Monster. Eddie Painter? Okay. Oh, there. Okay. All right. Channel Zero. Ooh, are there any images that pop up? Ooh, there it is. Ooh. That's like somebody being covered in. All right. You're going to make me do it. Damn it. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can call this up. I know you can hear the clicking. Sorry. I wish this was a point and drag. There it is. Tooth monster trying to bite someone's finger. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate it, although those rumors are not real. Nope, I can't get any bigger. I will save that later when I need to quote DBJ. I have a feeling you have a shelf with quotables that you can pull out whenever you need to, like a bookshelf full of like old novels or something. Just like blow the dust off. Yeah, here's a quote that can be taken out of context. Great, let's use that one. Yeah, idea. Get some controversial titles to attract people about how bad WotC and wokeism is in gaming, and then just talk about Obsidian mechanics the whole time. Bait and switch. Yeah, now that's clickbaity. That is clickbaity. I mean, there's some channels that they're only surviving because that's all they talk about is how horrible WotC is and things like that. And to be honest with you, I really don't need the channel. I just like being here. So I don't have a reason to like overly, get the perfect thumbnail with the perfect title, with the thing that gets people upset and stuff. I don't I really don't need that. I don't well, I do. I need the interaction. I don't need the like I don't need like 5.6 million viewers or things like that just to survive. Because that's some people's jobs. Being YouTubers is a job, a business, and it is their investment in themselves. So I can't really fault that, but I do find it problematic when you're just like, really like every video you put out is like bashing another game, like really, so it's unfortunate because we have so many games. Yeah, clickbait is essential, but we can make a joke out of it. Of course. And unfortunately, this what is it? What's the term? Uh, a person is smart, people are dumb. I think is kind of how it is, where all of us intellectually know how a thing works, but as an aggregate, despite the fact that we feel like it shouldn't work, it always works. So, parody clickbait could be funny. That's true. That's true. I've tried it before. I'm not very good at it. But yeah, there's lots of things where we always associate like what's an example? Like people complain about clickbait, but clickbait works. So yeah, I often have to warn my wife about the clickbait because she's just like, "Oh, this thing happened." I'm like, "No, it doesn't. No, it didn't." And she's like, "Yeah, but it's real because it said so." And I'm like, "Nah, it didn't." So, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Also, if any of you have come this far, do the damn thing, right? Like, share, subscribe. You guys know. Call to actions. Hit the subscribe button. Become notified. Put it on in the background. Maybe if you're like constipated and you need something to loosen up your bowels, put it on in the background. Not FDA approved, but you get my point. Something like that. You got to pinch a loaf off, and it's like really difficult, and you're like struggling. Turn this on in the background; it'll cover up the noise. Yeah. Yeah, Drew's like, wait, not everything on the internet is true. Could you imagine someone who completely lives their lives by the everything on the internet being true? That I'm sure there are people that are like that. It's crazy. This is okay. You got some images for your character archetypes. Uh, Keep that in mind because I got to get out of here. But so, guys, thank you so much. I am also letting you know that Monday there won't be there won't be a show. If there is one, it'll be by surprise because I would have to go live in a place that I'm not normally at. And it's very difficult to go live when I'm away. So very difficult to do that. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Of course, it's going to take you out with some little Obsidian Star and that kind of thing. So guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. And bright and early tomorrow, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Tabletop Gaming with RPG with DBJ. Peace. I'm out.